What's going on, everyone? This is the exact Chase branch location I walked into, coincidentally, 7+ years ago on the very first day the Chase Sapphire Reserve was launched with its 100,000 point bonus offer. I knew nothing about credit cards, points, miles, traveling for free, like literally nothing. And so walking in, I was just talking to the banker about some other topic, and they were like, hey, there's this new product you may want to consider, etc. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And they were like, okay, well, hey, this is the offer, right? If you're spending $4,000 in the next 3 months, then you could be getting 100,000 points, which could be worth $1,500 in travel. And for me, I was like, what the heck? You can get this much value off of doing spend that I was gonna do anyways organically and towards travel, which I was definitely looking forward to, whether it's then or even now. I was like, this is a no-brainer. Tell me more, let me put in that application. And so I applied, got instantly approved, and the rest is history, because literally my life changed from that one time I walked into here, and the rest is history, literally. It's been a journey having the Chase Sapphire Reserve all these years, and this video should well inform you whether or not it deserves a spot in your wallet. We'll start off with what the Chase Sapphire Reserve offers us today, followed by taking a trip down memory lane to speak to the assortment of value I've received throughout the years. From there, I'll answer a couple important questions, such as under what circumstances would I cancel the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and also, will I be keeping it up to a total sum of 10 years. The Chase Sapphire Reserve comes with a sign-up bonus offer of 60,000 ultimate reward points after $4,000 in minimum spend in the first 3 months. Chase points can be redeemed in a multitude of ways, so that 60,000 points can be worth $600 in cash or up to $900 on their travel portal, where each and every point is worth 50% more. In other words, each point will be worth 1.5 cents per point. You can also take these points and transfer them to travel partners, where you can get even more value. When we spend on this card, the earn rate is going to be 3x points per dollar spent on dining as well as travel. Dining includes sitting at restaurants and eating, as well as takeout services such as your Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash, and more. Travel-wise, it's super flexible, whether that's actually booking flights and hotels, but also paying for tolls, parking, and more. Specifically spending on Chase's travel portal, we're looking at 10x points per dollar spent on rental cars as well as hotels, and 5x on flights. From there, there's a specific feature known as Chase Dining, where you're getting 10x points per dollar spent and 1x everywhere else. There's some temporary increased multiplier categories, as well as monthly credits that are offered with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. They do tend to change period over the longer term. Hence, I won't go into too much detail, but I'll leave more information on screen. Depending on your situation, spending with these merchants can garner extreme value, and I'll get into this more shortly. All of this comes at an annual fee of $550. When this card first came out, the annual fee was $450, $100 less than it is today. When this card first came out, and even today, this card comes with a $300 travel credit. This credit is super flexible, so even though the annual fee was $450 back in the day, with $300 as a travel credit, effectively, we're talking about $150. I used to easily justify this and tell literally the whole world of how amazing this card was, because mathematically, if you're getting 3x points per dollar spent on dining as well as travel, and the fact that you can get that 50% boost for redeeming your points on the Chase travel portal, it's like you're getting 4.5% cashback equivalent for any type of travel expenditure when you spend on those categories. Like this, when you do the math of $150 of your effective annual fee divided by 4.5% cashback that you're receiving per dollar spent, you're literally looking at, if you spend less than literally $300 per month, you could still break even on this card and still have a lot of the benefits that it has to offer. There's quite a few benefits that come with the CSR, and one of them is the fact that you get Priority Pass Select membership. With this, you're able to access 1,400 plus airport lounges, but specifically with this membership, it's like a superpower. With the Chase Sapphire Reserves version, we are able to eat at certain restaurants within airports. Specifically, you're looking at $28 per person. So let's say it's me and my player 2. That's $56 towards our meal, regardless of what we're ordering. Today, you're able to take yourself and up to 2 other guests into a Priority Pass lounge. Yet back in the day, in the beginning, it was unlimited guests. I get giddy talking about this because back in the day, I took me and 7 other friends to different lounges just to try whatever they had to offer, whether it's food, drink, or otherwise. Even myself, when I first got the Chase Sapphire Reserve, my first international trip was to South Korea. And at the Incheon airport, I literally went to each and every lounge that I was able to access with my Priority Pass access. As the credit card industry has evolved over time, there's been a lot of competitor cards that have very similar benefits and a lot of travel benefits today, which we take for granted. Yet back in the day, it was something just new for me, and here are a couple examples. As simple as it sounds, with the Chase Sapphire Reserve, having no foreign transaction fees was a big deal for me because before then, I basically had no annual fee cards. So every time you're purchasing something, you're not just losing, let's say, a 3% foreign transaction fee. In addition, if there's any like exchange difference, you're losing that amount of value as well. So a ballpark estimate is like I'm spending 5, 6 or more percent in excess of what I would have if I didn't have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Another instance was when I traveled to Japan for the first time. I lost my CSR, but in addition to that, there was a $1,200 plus expense that was charged on it. I didn't know how to navigate the situation, so I called up Chase, and their customer service is stellar, whether it was before or even now, and they just walked me through the process of saying, hey, it's all gonna be okay. You just basically file a claim for basically fraud, and it was taken care of like easily versus what I thought a bigger process could have been. Another benefit of the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which is now very common amongst other cards, is the fact that you get $100 back every 4 years for your transaction, whether it's for global entry or TSA pre-check. I've used the Chase Sapphire Reserve twice to check out for this transaction, and I've been reimbursed both times. But the funny thing is, once you pay for it, you basically schedule your time to go for your appointment. But just based on my schedule, I could never make the appointment because I was traveling on the road as a management consultant and timing just didn't align. But the fact is that I was able to sign up. So had I gone for my appointment, gotten approved, I would have had TSA pre-check or global entry through the Chase Sapphire Reserve's benefit of offering this. Never happened. But the point is, at least I was able to kind of avail the opportunity. A lot of things have changed over the years. One of the coolest things was that I could book, let's say, flights or hotels with points on Chase's travel portal, and it would count towards loyalty status. Nowadays, booking through an OTA or an online travel agency, it doesn't really work the same way, but the fact is that that was a very real way where I'm not spending, let's say, cold hard cash, but I'm using my points and I'm still getting all the benefits I would have by booking with said hotel chain or airline. This is gonna sound a bit nitpicky, but the $300 travel credit when the card first launched, that $300 towards travel that you're spending, you would still earn points on that $300. What this meant is that because you're getting 3x on that travel category, 3x of $300 in spend meant basically another 900 points. 900 points can be, let's say, $9, or on the portal, $13.50, or if you transfer to travel partners and you're getting, let's say, 2 cents per point in value, then that's like $18. And I know it's not the most in the world, but at least back in the day, it really meant a lot to me because today, you're not gonna get any points on that $300 of spend. So back then, it really meant something. So when they took away that benefit, it really hurt right over here. 7+ years is a long time, and I wish I was documenting the journey year over year over year since the beginning, but since I wasn't, I'm sure I'm missing a few examples, but these are the ones that at least come to mind that had some significant value. Today, the annual fee of the Chase Sapphire Reserve is $550, and with that same $300 travel credit, we're basically looking at an effective annual fee of $250. Coming back to those temporary increased multiplier categories / monthly credits that are offered with the Chase Sapphire Reserve over a promotional period of time specifically, there's one that's been super lucrative for me. It's specifically when spending with Lyft, where you're getting 10x points per dollar spent. I spend around $100 on average each month with Lyft, and so times 12, that's $1,200. And so 10 points per dollar is 1,200 times 10, which is 12,000 points. I personally value Chase points at around 2 cents per point because I use Hyatt, which is one of their travel partners, primarily with Chase points. And so that 12,000 times 2 cents per point is essentially 24,000 cents, in other words, $240. Given this situation, I'm basically breaking even with the Chase Sapphire Reserve without even putting that much spend on it. At the time of recording, this perk's gonna be around for another year from now, but what's gonna happen afterwards? In other words, if there's not a version of this perk or something I can take advantage of, then what am I gonna do next? And before tackling that question, I wanna share a few more cherries on top where I'm still receiving value with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. The specific Priority Pass membership we're given through the CSR, it has its own merit. And when I was traveling on the road as a management consultant, week over week, I would take advantage of this benefit. The point is, as long as they have this, this itself has that much value to it, where maybe I wouldn't spend, let's say, $28 on a certain meal with having that Priority Pass credit offered to me if I'm dining at a restaurant in the airport. But even if I value that at, let's say, $10, and then let's say X amount of times over the year, I'm traveling and taking advantage of this organically, then that really means a lot to me. At the time of recording, there's a specific $15 monthly Instacart credit that's offered to us, and that's going to expire later this year because it's a part of those temporary credit situations, yet that also garners some value. And in the beginning, this didn't exist, but as simple as just Chase offers where let's say, hey, you're getting 10% off at Dunkin' Donuts, or you're getting 15% off on a nightly rate at a hotel, where that could mean a lot more than maybe a few pennies here, but maybe a good few tens of dollars elsewhere. And then over a few transactions over the year, that itself helps a lot towards negating the annual fee and then coming out that much more ahead, assuming you're anyways going to make these expenses in general. Clearly, after all of this, it makes sense today for me to keep the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And in general, am I going to keep it in the longer term? It really depends how this card is going to evolve. In the beginning, it came out with $450 as its annual fee. Then it got raised to $550. And if it were to say, let's say, go to $650 or $700 or even more, they better really introduce better earning categories and other credits to not just negate it, but really give some good value. In other words, not me going out of my way to spend to break even and just juggle this whole situation, but I would really hope that things would make some sense overall, obviously. I wouldn't actually cancel the Chase Sapphire Reserve. I would downgrade it to the Chase Freedom Unlimited or the Chase Freedom Flex. But the point is, whether or not I keep this specific product is really gonna depend on what the future holds. With that, this was me and the Chase Sapphire Reserve after 7+ years. And if you wanna see me and my experience with the Capital One Venture X, also from the first day it came out after 2 years of having the card, check that video out. I'll leave it over here. And with that, I'll see you there.